Okay, so I think we are live now, so I think we can start. Okay, so I think we are live now, so I think we can. I just want to share my screen. Give me a moment. Just one moment, please, and we'll get started. Okay, so let me share my screen and we'll start. Please, everybody, you are free to unmute your mic to ask questions. It's more like a practical session, right? Because we're going to be thinking through together. So today we are going to be learning about heuristics. How many of us are familiar with heuristics, like with the word heuristics, or we have heard it before? Hmm? Oh, no, she must. So how many of us are familiar with what we call heuristics? No? Yeah. No. Oh, okay. So this is the part that we have a user experience that is very, 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 very important. Okay. And without heuristics, it's not possible for you to be able to create something at light speed. Now, some of you may think that, oh, heuristics is a very complex word. No, it is not, right? Heuristics is a collation of all your experiences over time. That is what heuristics mean. So when you say, so literally, another word for heuristics means experience. And when we are talking about experience, it is now about not the number of years that you have used to work, but the number of things you have encountered and how you've gone about solving them, okay? And then the collation of that information at the back of your mind to solving another problem is what we know as heuristics, okay? And because people tend to use heuristics when it is not easy to categorize elements or things. And why is that? Is because like these are like their personal encounters. And because it is their personal encounters, right? They cannot give you like a definition, a standalone definition that is going to be like, oh, okay, these are like principles that each and everybody must follow. No. Instead, heuristics is like, oh, these are the problems me have faced in the course of my career, right? Or while progressing my career. And these are how I've tried to scale them or I've tried to scale through. And then so different kind of big people in the industry. When I mean big people, I'm talking about like people like Jacob Nelson, right? Don Norman, right? They've talked about different their own point of view and their even John Ivy from who works for Apple for a very long time, right? Right. These guys have their own personal reasons. These are the experiences that they had when they got to work on client projects, work as a staff in a company, right? So these are all these things. So, but today I'm going to just be using Jacob Nelson heuristics because why? a lot of people have found it to be very, very useful for them. Now, I want to put a disclaimer here. It is not in all cases that you have to rely on Jacob Nelson's heuristics. Why? Because everything I'm going to teach you is reality, or was is reality. But again, because you are just starting out, it's good to also start on the shoulder of others, right? To be able to deliver quickly. Okay. So if I say, what is your heuristics? And literally asking you, how many problems have you tried to solve, and how have you tried to come out of it? Okay. So that is what we are talking about in heuristics. And in the case of Jacob Nelson, right, is the owner of this school called NNN Group, Norman Nelson Group. And the idea here is that he was trying to talk about, like, how can we make how can we make a product usable? Okay. And that's why I talked about 10 heuristics, which I'll be identifying one after the other as we progress. Okay. And then you are going to be giving me examples from where you have seen something like this before. Okay. So the first one that we're going to be looking at is what we call visibility or system status. Please, I hope you are taking notes. So we call it visibility. So number one, let's start. Number one, visibility of system status. Okay. And now, what does visibility of system status mean? System status mean? It means that when you have a design, the design now, the design must always keep users informed about what is going on through appropriate feedback within a reasonable amount of time. Okay. The design should always keep users informed about what is going on through appropriate feedback within a reasonable amount of time. Can anybody tell me an example of a design that is meant to keep people informed about what is going on through appropriate feedback within a reasonable amount of time? Anybody? Yes. So Ms. Nika said, if you are here, okay, if you are here, please interact in the live chat as well. Exactly. Very correct. Progress bar. So for example, now, in the case of where I said that I want to download something, okay. I want to download something on my computer from the internet, right? You have the word use of progress bar. And now that understanding now, and I'm sure that many of us understand the use of progress bar, right? So when users know the current system status, they learn the outcome of their prior interaction and determine the next step. So when users now, so what they are trying to say in visibility of systems is that once they understand exactly where they are, right, they know the next steps that is going to go on. So I'm going to give you a product I'm currently working on, but I don't have NDA to block me from showing you guys. So I'm just going to show you here. Which account can I use? Mhm. I'm going to remember. Okay. Just give me a second. Please, one moment. Okay, so now this is a sales platform, right? So this is my test account that I used to test account, improving on the design and the experience itself. So if you look at this now, you can see in this place here that at this moment here now, this account, right, shows a clear notification and pure proper detail as to what exactly is going on, right? So this is the first thing we learned in number one, that they have to what visibility of status. Let me see the one that was approved. Okay, so you can see here too, when you have like an approval step, right, you can see all of these sections. Oh, okay, so the document verification, their payment was approved, and then their commission was processed. Okay, and then they have like other steps too, and so on and so forth. All right, now this is a test account I'm using. So that is how we are able to understand that what's important about visibility of status in terms of heuristics is that it has to be clear, it has to be what visible, so that it gives people exactly to know what step they are and maybe what is they need to carry out on. Is that clear? Should I go to the next one? If you have any questions, you can ask now. Yeah, good. An error message like the one I showed, right? So you can throw in an error message. Now, the next one here is that you have to understand that you need to always try to match between the system and the real world. So let me put that on screen so everybody can see. So number two now, we are going to 10 now. All right. So you need to match between the system and the real world. Now, how do we go about matching the system and the real world? Right? Now, the idea here is that when you do a design, it should focus on the user's language. Are we together? It should focus on the user language. So, for example, if you are designing for, say, indigenous people, you want to focus on using those indigenous people language, not you want to focus on those indigenous people language and not the standard language that everybody is used to. Okay, even in terms of like the text that you write. Okay, for example, now if some people are speaking like your users now are generally speaking Yoruba, it doesn't make any sense for them to use your application, because not because they don't understand English sometimes, but because it feels more local to them. Okay, so that is why you always want to make sure that you match between the system and what and the real world. Okay, so again, apart from that, things like icons, because I say a lot of people will be like, should I use icon or should I use text? If your icon is not universal, it's problematic, right? And that's why even on road signs, they don't use text, they'll use what? Icons and symbols, because they understand that there may be different people who are using that road, who may be speaking multiple language, but they can tell the sign without stress. That is why road signs are in symbols rather than text. Okay, so because now these icons are what are concepts that are what familiar. All right, so again, what you should focus on is that when a design control follow reward convention and correspond to desired outcome, we naturally call it what natural mapping. So I give example. So let me explain the process of this one now. So when I was on the call with the founder of this product, right? The idea was that they have a 3-stage process in which they approve payments to people that make sales. Okay, so this is a sales payment platform. So idea is that, okay, whenever they make sales, they are going to submit a particular set of documents, and once they've submitted that particular set of documents, the document is going to be verified by a party, and then once that document is verified by a party, then they are going to check their balance to be sure that, oh, the payment was actually made, right, for the sales that was made. And then once they've done that, they will now go on to what approving that process. Okay, so now the idea was that, oh, okay, all of this kind of feel manual, right? Because now they have to like take all those documents, refill it again and all, right? So this amount we are trying to like help them simplify the entire process. But again, if you notice, we mirror the exact same thing in these 3 steps: 1, 2, 3. Okay, so even though it's mostly automated now, but because we are mirroring what is outside, we tend to already get quickly to the desired outcome. All right, that is why I said that you can leverage on people's heuristics or people's experiences, right, to be an amazing designer very quickly. Okay, so now what is the key thing to learn here? Ensure that you understand. And this is like I'm taking it directly from Nomanessi group website. So the tip here is that make sure that you understand that your users can understand the meaning without having to go look up a word definition. Okay, very important. That's number 1. Number 2, never assume your understanding of words or concepts will match that of your users. So that is why it is very, very important. Even as a UX writer, it's very, very important that you conduct content mapping, what's it called again? Conduct your entire information architecture to make sure that the keywords you are using matches their own perspective. If you notice that, oh, they have a kind of problem, or they are beginning to ask you, like, that's why it's very important to do user testing, that sometimes you may make mistake. And it's not because you make mistake, like, oh, okay, this concept I've used over and over again, right? And because of that, you've created a buyer, which is why we test. We're like, okay, you put it in front of the users. And they ask them, oh, does this word make sense to you? Or if they ask you, I don't understand the meaning of this word, you know, I already have a problem, right? And then if you have to talk to 5, 10, 15 people, and all of them are saying the exact same thing, you need to change that word, right? To something that is more relatable to them. Okay. Then again, the third part, which I've already talked about, is user research. We uncover your users' familiar terminology as well as their mental models around important concepts. Okay. And what is mental model? Mental model is anything that people have learned or acquired over time as their reality. Okay. Those are mental models. For example, if you're in a particular tribe and you have your set of culture and your belief system, right? That is your mental model. Okay. Same thing with people like in different religions and so on and so forth, right? That is their mental model. All right. That is what they've come to know as their reality. Okay, so you need to meet your users at their reality to be able to serve them well. Okay, and that's why we call it user experience, because it is that user that we are aiming to serve them well that will not enable us to enable our users to say, oh, I had a great experience with this place. Like I always say, a good salesperson will sell you features, but a great salesperson will always sell you the experience. A great salesperson will always sell the experience. That is why you can be an experienced designer and you charge way more than other kind of designers, even in the same space, right? So that is the importance of user experience. Now let's go to the third part. So we've seen the example, right? So what's the third part now? The third part is that users must have total control and freedom, or user control and freedom. Okay, users must have total control and freedom. And why are we saying this is that users sometimes make mistake. For example, now I've seen where okay, it even happened to me yesterday. I was trying to unsubscribe from one platform because they were charging me a lot of money. So you won't believe it. I click on my own mouse, I click unsubscribe. The next thing I saw is you subscribe to a different plan. And that's okay. I've actually subscribed to a different plan. Oh yeah, let me go and cancel it. There's no cancel button again. Let me show you guys. So, and it's one of these UX tools I used to use, like no cancel button, which is really pissing me off right now. And like I can't even wait to call the founder, because I will call him out maybe next week on LinkedIn. Like, which kind of nonsense, you want to steal my money? So if I go over here now, I go to account and settings, I go to plan and billing. See, I cannot cancel my plan. And if I click on change plan, see, there's nowhere to cancel my plan. Yeah. Are you seeing it? So now this is a bad experience because it's not giving me total control to cancel my plan. Now I am stuck till till June, which I cannot even take because I need to go and call him out on this. Like, this doesn't make any sense. Okay. So now these are the problems that we have. These are the things that you need to specify to enable users to be able to solve their problem. The same thing I have with Webflow. Somebody booked me on a call to, yeah, I'm letting them in. Somebody booked me on a call to what was it called? Somebody booked me on a call to help them with their Webflow, right? After helping them with their Webflow, I forgot to cancel my plan. Then I canceled it. Then when I remember to cancel, I canceled it, but they already debited me. And I said, okay, well, let me go and cancel it. You need to see the number of forms they start you filling before I can collect my money back. But that one till next week. I'll have their time next week. Hey, Obina, please mute your mic. If I kick you out. Okay. So now, what's the so now let me go on, right? So users can perform mistakes, right? So you need a what? A clear marked emergency exit to leave the unwanted action without having to go through an extended process. So you would have seen it like, for example, now, if you want to delete something, it will ask you, are you sure you want to delete this thing? Right? So that's user control, right, is very important. When you do Control Z, right, to undo or redo, right, these are the things that gives users freedom or ability to, because imagine that you are using Figma or Photoshop and you don't have the ability to do Control Z. I don't think many people, there will be many designs out there today because people are literally going to take their time and think about the consequences of what they're about to perform before they do it, right? Because they know that once they do it like this, it's done. They cannot change it again. And this now cages users. They don't feel, they feel like they cannot express themselves well enough. All right. So these are things that you can do to help them avoid such an issue. Okay. So we've seen user control and freedom. Now let's go to the first part. Please, if you have questions, ask me. Okay, so now what is in the fourth part now? The fourth part we are going to look at is consistency and standards. Obina, please mute your mic. This is the last time I'm going to say it. And Julius, Obina, please mute your mic. Okay. So now, consistency and standards, right? So what are we looking at when we say there must be consistency and standard? So in this case, users should not have to guess whether different words, situations, or actions mean the same thing. They must be able to follow a simple pattern. Now, when well, I will put it like this. So we have Jacob's law, right? Is one of their principles. So now, Jacob's law states that people spend most of their time using digital products other than yours. So what does that mean? That means that because people spend more time using other products than yours, you have to make sure that your products feels familiar to them. Okay, I give you an example. If you pick an iPhone now, you will see that many of the apps they tend to behave the same way. And if you pick an Android, many of the apps tend to behave the same way, but it's kind of a little bit or slightly different from the iPhone users. Until I think around sometime in 2015 or 16. Yeah, so until sometime in 2015 or 16, that people I think it was Facebook, maybe 2017, 18, yeah. So Facebook decided to come up with a platform whereby you can, with the same app, you can create the exact same app and deploy on Android or post it on Android and also post it on iPhone. So thereby literally having the same the same design, right? And the same feeling. Okay. So to what to which was not able to what enhance what's it called now, which was not able to enhance productivity and familiarity. Okay, so and this down will not allow what consistency and what and standards to take place. Okay, and the essence of this is that I mean the advantage of this is that it helps you to get rid of anything that has to do with cognitive load, because now number one, they don't have to learn something new again. They don't have to learn a platform. I remember if I was using WhatsApp on my iPhone. Because then there was a time that I switched. I was a Android user for a very long time, and then there was a time I actually now finally switched to iPhone. I remember that transition of using WhatsApp. It kind of feels a little bit strange, right? Which will lead to what? Cognitive load. And what is cognitive load? That is having too many information, right? Or forcing me to learn something new when I've already come up with a behavior, right? Which is why sometimes when we are doing like user experience design, is is I'm not saying like it's totally correct, but what I'm saying is that sometimes you want to make sure that your first kind of experience that comes out has to be like your best, but it's not totally correct. It just saves you time and headache. Why? Because your user don't have to start from scratch to start learning something new. I remember when Figma did a total upgrade from UI2 to UI3. There was a lot of people complaining. Even they wanted to do like a full overhaul of how Photoshop looks and behave. The complaint was too much. They had to roll everything back. So this is why, like, sometimes you are so lucky when you are just starting out than when you are already out there and people have already formed an habit to your product. Okay. So again, that's why that's what it has advantage and disadvantage. All right. So that's why even to before they were able to roll out UI8, I think it was just about last week or 2 weeks ago now that they just finally roll out UI8. Other than that, they wouldn't have been able to roll it out. Okay. So any questions so far before I continue? Okay. So remember, what we are looking at is not just heuristics. What we are looking at is what? 10 usability heuristics for interface design by Jacob Nielsen. Okay. And the first time he wrote it in 1994. I think April. Yeah. So it's more like an anniversary. It will have been an anniversary last month if we are taking this topic. So April 24th, 1994. And then I think he updated it in sometime in January. Yeah, January 2024. Okay. So and now we're in 2025, right? So now we've talked about consistency and standards, right? Now let's look at the next law. Okay. So now the next law is error prevention. Okay. Just like the way we have it in user control and freedom is literally almost the same thing as number 5, which is what? Error prevention. Okay. So, and this one is very good for like in case you want to make any drastic change that is going to affect any drastic change that is going to affect you. Okay. For example, now they said good error messages are important, but the best design carefully prevent problems from occurring in the first place. Okay. Either eliminate error prone conditions or look for them and then show your users with a confirmation option before they commit to that action. Okay. For example, now if you look at this case here, give me a second. If you look at this case, Just one minute. Let me log in on the admin account. Okay, so for example, now in this case here, now say I want to cancel a sale. I want to reject a particular sale. So I see this one, and I want to reject this particular sale now. Can you see? Can you see the error message I'm seeing? That's what it's trying to prevent me. And you say, are you sure? Do you understand? Are you sure you want to reject this sale? Okay. So this one still gives me time to think about my actions. Okay. Before I go reject sale. Are we together? Is everybody following? It still gives me time to think about my action before I go ahead to reject the sale. Okay. So which is why error prevention is very important. I remember the way it was being taught is that when you are doing error prevention, right, it's even better that there is no error in the first place. And if you think about it, this is a submitted sale, right? If the sale has been submitted properly, there will not be need to reject. Okay, so that means that we have to enable the users that when they are submitting that sale, they should be able to when they are submitting that particular sale, they should be able to fill in the details correctly. All right, and one of the ways I do that is I do autocomplete. So if it's an information that that could be filled automatically, we are going to do that for you. All right, so these are things that you have to think about, and once you think about it, you'll be able to help the user. So you have to think and again, one of the things we talk about or it applies to is when we use the word edge cases. So let me quickly break down what edge cases mean. So it's spelled EDGE. So edge cases. So these are ways in which we try to anticipate what the user is going to do, which is not actually natural to our platform. I'll give an example now. Some people now in their WhatsApp chats is meant for chatting. Some people used to take down notes and leave it there. And then when they remember, they can copy and paste it to somewhere else, right? So these are edge cases. Okay, so the intended intention for using sorry, I said the intended intention. The intention for using the app, the way that was initially designed for, people tend to use another way. So again, under error prevention, you have to guess ahead what they may most likely do. All right, or even from your observation, so you can give to test and see the way they will interact with the product, right? So, and remember, all of this thing we are talking about is usability, meaning that you have already created your product, all right, or you've designed your product, and then you're not subjecting it down to this set of rules. Okay, because you cannot do usability without having something you have designed already. Aha. Okay. So I just want to believe that we are moving together. All right. So now, if there's no question, let's just look at the tips according to Nelson now. He said, number one, make sure you prioritize your effort. Try as much as possible to prevent high cost errors first, then little frustrations later. Okay. Number two is that you need to avoid slips by providing helpful constraints and good defaults. Okay. So even if you look at this closely, right, in terms of the error prevention, when I click on reject sale, right, so that you don't get type rubbish, you can also click on this use default message, and it helps you to type it automatically. Do you understand? So that you will know exactly so that they will not be typing inconsistent message that will be confusing the users too. So these are the things that we can do to make sure that the system is very, very optimal and users have a wonderful experience. Okay, so these are the things that are very, very important for you to note. All right. So now let's look at the next section. We call it what? Recognition rather than recall. Recognition rather than recall. We're almost done. See, very quickly. Recognition rather than recall. So when we look at recognition rather than recall, what are we trying to say exactly? Can anybody help me here? When you think of, in terms of usability, what does it mean to have recognition than recall? Anybody? Okay, so let me continue. So when we say recognition and recall, what we are specifically looking at is we are giving users, we are looking at how we can minimize the user's memory load by making things, actions, and options visible. Okay. Now, what he's trying to say is that the user should not even have to try to remember anything at all, so that when they see it, they know what to do next. For example, I want to draw a circle, right? What is the shortcut for circle? Yes, I don't remember, but I can come over here and I can see it. Okay, so this is what we are talking about when we say recognition than recall. If this circle now was like in a different shape, or I only see number 4 here, right? I will not remember. Okay, I'm not going to remember at all. So that's why when we say recognition, they're like, I mean, I say this is rectangle, right? This is a rhombus. Okay, this is a circle, this is an arrow, this is a dash, this is a pencil, right? And this is text, because I can recognize them. So I don't have to think about it. I don't have to recall. Okay, recognize, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 0. I'll be like, what is the 0 again? I can't remember, right? So these are the things you want to avoid. Okay, same thing is that even in the case of where you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for the shortcuts, right? Again, every time I don't have to like, try and over all the time just because I want to see my shortcut. Though in many other applications, you'd have to literally memorize it. Okay. But to be able to like speed up your process, for example, in Figma now, if you go to Figma, give me a moment, please. For example, if you go to Figma now, right? So I use Figma, like right now, I actually, I don't usually do much design in Figma again. I just write the code directly from my head. That's like my process have changed ever since AI has been running. So like right now, I just use Figma to like do 1 or 2 sketches, and then I give it to AI to make adjustments to the design for me. So I don't have to like do any handoff to developer again. So now look at it now. If I want, because I've memorized everything, if I want to draw a rectangle now, I'm going to press R, right? If I want to write a text, I'm going to press T. Because again, we've talked about like familiarity and consistency and standards, right? In most design tools, when you press T, right, you have this. However, if you go to what is it called? If you go to Illustrator and you want a rectangle, you have to press M. So these are things that you have to memorize. Okay. And the other way they now added it, like in order to make the interface clean, if you've forgotten but you still want to recognize it later, you can hover on it like this, wait for a second, and then it's going to show you again. Can you see it? So you can see P for pen, right? So if I want to draw now, I can press P and I can draw whatever I want to draw, right? So that's that about that. Now let me come back to here. So it's important what you give recognition rather than recall. All of these things I'm going to give in your next assignment, and I want to see you use everything, and you're going to explain one after the other how you went about that particular thing. So each one we have at least 2 examples. You design everything in Figma and you will point it out with a little bit of explanation for everything. So that's why I'm giving you examples, and so you can see every section I'm giving you with what? With the example. So let's go to the 7th one. So 3 to go. So now, what's the 7th one? Again, in this case, we've talked about like recognition. What do you think recognition? If you are always seeing it and don't have to recall it, right? It's going to the next thing, which is what? Flexibility. But it did not stop there. He said flexibility and efficiency of use. Now, one thing I've learned, that what separates the greatest of the great designers than the others is that the best of the best designers can do whatever they want to do. I mean, can do design even if they don't pay them. Like me now, what makes me an amazing designer is because even if you don't pay me, don't gonna tell my clients this one, but even if you don't pay me, I'm ready to do that work, right? Because sometimes I may not even know it, but I'm willing to challenge myself to keep pushing and breaking my back till I get it done. People that know me very well knows my work ethic. Like if I don't get it, I can be there for 2 days. I will not sleep until I get it. Even when I get it by mistake for the first time, I will try to recreate it again and recreate it again and again and again and again till it works. Now, if you take that attitude and bring it into your platform and you're doing usability testing, you have to make sure that your platform is so stressed out, that is so stressed that you've stressed your design over and over again, so that when users come to your platform now, it feels very flexible, it feels very simple to use, it feels very efficient to use, it doesn't feel very hard. I'm very sure some of you now, when you take, say, for example, Telegram, there's where Telegram feels. It feels differently from when you're using WhatsApp. Okay, it feels like they both have 2 different feelings, right? Both of them are very flexible, but you still tend to say, oh, WhatsApp is more flexible. Same thing with like when you say you take Twitter X now and WhatsApp, right? So there's that level of flexibility. Now let's break it down. What does this mean when he said flexibility and efficiency of use? What he was talking about is shortcuts, right? That shortcut is mostly hidden from novice, but may speed up the interaction for the expert user. So what does that mean now? It means that that's so that the design can cater to both inexperienced and experienced users. Are we together? So you've taken it, you stress your system, and now you are making sure that, oh, first-time users are able to use your platform easily and successfully, and long-time users are able to do same. Okay, for example, now someone that is new to Figma will still be looking for all of these things, right? Someone that is new to Figma will be looking for all of these things, no problem. But after a while, once you're not an expert, like me, if I'm using Figma, I don't even remember the last time I'm gonna click on anything. I mostly just press the shortcut. Even is nowadays, even all of this one here like this, I just mostly press the shortcut. Okay, and if you are looking for shortcuts, you can just click on this question mark here, right? And then you want to go to keyboard shortcuts. You have all your shortcuts here spelled out to you, and then you can test everything out one after the other. So these are all your tools, right? You can see how it's being done. Okay. So if you want to press color now, me, I'm using a Mac, so it may be different for you. If you're using a Windows computer, you can go to your view, zoom, and then you just practice it and memorize it over time. Okay. But please don't get a put Figma on your head, like I always say. Try as much as possible to put what's it called? To understand the basis. All these I'm teaching are the basis, because all your designs, when we are critiquing it, these are the things you are going to subject it to. All. So if your design does not capture any of these things we have said, right, you would have to go and work on your app. Okay. So now allow users to what? To tailor frequent actions. Give them even sometimes. That's why you see that sometimes you can go to your settings and also adjust your action keys. For example, if I come back here, come back to keyboard shortcut, you can see in layout, I can actually adjust my keyboard layout. Okay. But I'm using US keyboard because I got it from the US. So now let's just continue. Flexible processes, you know already, flexible processes can be carried out in different ways so that people can pick whatever method works for them. Okay. One example. Which example can I look at now? Can I remember? Is okay. People using an Android phone now. You can decide to show your bottom navigation bar or hide it, right? So these are the things that we talk about when we talk about like flexibility. Okay. So let's go to the next one. This one, all of you know it already. So let me add it here. So for our number 8, now we have what? Aesthetics and minimalist design. Aesthetics and minimalist design. So again, in aesthetics and minimalist design, please, aesthetics does not mean fine. Okay. The person that coined aesthetics, his name is Alexander Baumgarten. And when he said it, he said, beauty is in the eyes of the beholder. Beauty is in the eyes of the beholder. What does that mean? It means that somebody or something or an entity can be fine, but that fineness may not necessarily appeal to another person, right? And the person who is saying that that thing is fine, it is because it is appealing to that person's sense of beauty or understanding of beauty. Okay, I'll give an example. Oh, let me not use the example. I don't want to enter trouble. Let me use say for example, okay, let me use something. Say you have a wooden statue, right? That wooden statue now, someone says, oh, this is a very beautiful work, right? And again, that's why if you go to like many, if you see many artistry work, sometimes some people say, oh, this is not fine. Some people say this thing is fine, right? So that's what we refer to as aesthetic. Okay. So now, for example, if you check Chinese interface design, it's not minimalistic. Give me a second. Can you see this? Is never minimalistic. But when you subject it to US, UK, mostly Europe, not America generally, America, Europe, right? They tend to follow what? Minimalist design. And that is why I said that when he was talking about heuristics, he was talking about what? His own point of view, his own worldview, his own reality. If for example, you have a job in China now, the way you will design will be different. Okay, so these are the things that you need to know. For example, now you say, oh, don't use more than 3 or 4 icons on a screen, right? And you can see the number of icons here. This is like 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so some people will use 4, some people can use 5, some people will do 3, and then make sure that others are able to scroll. All right. So that's why I say that when we talk about heuristic, is your own word or your own perspective, what you've learned over time. Now let's go to the where was I? Yeah. So let's talk about it more, right? So interface should not contain information that is irrelevant or rarely needed. Okay. Listen attentively. Interfaces should always avoid to what? Not contain information that is irrelevant or rarely needed. Every extra unit of information in an interface competes with relevant unit of information and diminishes their relative visibility. And for some of us that understand what visual hierarchy means, it means that if you have a useless information on your screen, take it away. Because I've seen many people, they'll be like, this screen is too empty. Yes, leave it empty. Do you understand? And that's what we talk about. When you have a complete design, is when you've taken away a complete design, is when you it's not when you start adding things. No, it's when you have taken things away that you see that, okay, once you remove this next thing, everything is going to begin to fall apart. That is when you have a complete design. Okay, so sometimes a design might not necessarily be minimalist. A design might be brutalist. But when you take something away and you think that, or you feel like, oh, this design is going to fall apart, or this interface is going to fall apart, right? Or this experience is going to fall apart, then you know that, okay, you already have a complete interface. It's not when you started, you are not adding more and more and more and more to it. No. That's like, even me, like personally, when I start from a blank canvas, I'll start adding things first. Adding. Draw screenshot, put inspiration, draw, trace, design. When I'm done, I'm like, okay, I'm not yet done. I'll be like, okay. Now I've gotten to the phase where I think it's now the time for me to start making my design complete. And what do? I'll start taking things out. after the other, one after the other, till I am okay with taking things out. Okay. And once you do something like that, and I'm going to show you an example of that kind of process. So it's going to take me a while to find it, but hopefully I find it quickly. So this is final interface design, right? Can you see it? Okay. If I take one thing away from this design, everything begins to fall apart. Now, where did I start from? Let me see where I started from. So this I was taking, like I was looking at other people's inspiration, right? And just getting as much ideas from them, right? I was just taking a lot of information. So I like how this looked like, and then this little dot here. So that dot was what actually inspired this section here that you are seeing here. Okay. So this section here, okay. Even I've never had time to code it, but I think one of these days I'm going to do that, right? And then I have this one too here. Let me straighten it, right? So this is what I have. So hopefully I can find the other iterations I worked on. Where are the other iterations now? Okay, even for this, right? Even for this, right? When I go to this level, okay, how did I get here? I started like this. No, I started from this. I was just trying to like match the colors, right? Trying to like check my color balance and all of these things. And then now I was trying to balance out the color. So you can see here. So when I start, I'm just adding things. This one, I wanted to like go with this inspiration here and continue adding things. And I got to the level where, oh, okay, I think I've got to where I should start removing. And immediately I started removing more and more things, which I finally landed here, right? But again, and I felt like it doesn't still feel complete. So let me add one more thing back, okay? And that's when I said, okay, I wanted to add a place because this entire surface feels too smooth, and I wanted to add a place where it will be easy for, like, when people touch it, right? It just like melts, like it just like takes the shape of their finger, and then they're able to turn the dial easily without stress. And again, it shows a point where they can actually always turn the die. All right. So, which is why I finally add, and I went on to add. So I was thinking of like, so this is actually inspiration. I was trying to like recreate it, and then I started looking at where I can also add mine. So you can see here now that this place, it feels like a joystick, but when you touch it's going to be like a soft pad that you can actually draw upon. Okay, so even initially I added this set of lines like this, right, to show the indication and everything. But again, I just netted here that I've got to the point where, since as long as they can draw this in and it still looks very minimal, then I'm good. Okay, so this is how you can go about like adjusting, adding things and then remove. Even initially I wanted to add like this kind of light rays on the stuff, but like in most cases is like, I don't know whether some of us have thermostat in the house. For me, I have a thermostat in there. So we have like this kind of dial that you use. So this is like a full light tray. So a full light tray like this now doesn't really make sense, because this is going to cover like an entire room, right? So having this full light tray on just that element alone is going to defeat the purpose, which was why I actually avoided using it. Okay. So now that's that about what having a what having a aesthetics and minimalist design. So let's look at the ninth one. Okay. So what's the thing that I should know here? So he said, number one, make sure you keep your content and visual design of UI focus on all the essential elements. Don't let unnecessary elements distract users from the information they really need. That's sometimes some people, they'll do like some fancy cartoon animation, and then fancy cartoon animation that is going to get a lot of likes on X and LinkedIn, whatever, is taken away from the design itself. Even on landing pages, you see so much light, so much so much things moving on, right? A lot of people are going to share that design idea with everybody, but which is actually, I'm not saying it's bad, but again, we want to make sure that it's not distracting. And I think that's like the most important, that no matter how classy, beautiful your design is, if it's distracting them away from performing the action they're supposed to perform, you have failed as a designer. So you need to fix that. All right. So number 9 is more of like a repeat, but let's just say it, because for me, I'll say it's more of like a repeat. I've said it already. So, and number 9 in this case is we are looking at how we are helping users recognize, diagnose, and recover from errors. And I've given an example in this place already, where okay, let me go to the Figma file. Yeah, so you can see that this error button. So this is not done, but you can see like this error button here shows like, oh, this is where you have a problem, right? And you can go about what? Fixing that problem, right? By clicking on this, all right, or this. So that's that about that. Okay, so let's just look into what he said. He said that, one moment. So he said that this should be 9. All right. So he said that error messages should be expressed in plain language. No error codes. Precisely indicate what the problem is and constructively suggest a solution. Okay. So if you go back to the design, can you see it? You say, what is the error? Your document failed verification. Verification details not matching provided information. Please re-upload your document or contest this rejection if you believe it was made in error. Does that make sense? So error messages should be expressed in plain language and no error codes. I recently tweeted about how I was trying to do a MTN credit transfer to somebody, and I've forgotten my password. And only for me to say, okay, oh, forget password. Oh. And the next time I'm seeing one useless error code, I'm like, MTN, what is this? And you can use a better error code. As a designer and a developer, I know exactly what that error code means. But for a random user, they are not going to get it, right? Which was why I posted it to for them to like look at it and also try and update that error code, okay, to something that people can easily understand and know exactly how to take action with regards to that particular error code. Okay, so again, this error message should also be presented with visual treatments that will help users notice and recognize them. If you notice in this entire design, where is it? So if you notice in this entire design, do you see any use of red? No, right? No use of red. So what that means is that by introducing a red section in this point here, is giving the users what? The ability to quickly focus on it. And again, I'm also thinking about like in terms of responsiveness, right? That, oh, if they're on their phone and they're actually accessing this platform, they can easily what? See that error quickly. Okay, so very, very important. So what is the tip here for us to know that? Always use traditional error message visuals like bold and red text. I did not say it, he said it, but these are what we do. Use bold and red text. Can see it, bold and red text, right? Tell users what went wrong in language they understand. Document verification failed. All right, and then again, see, offer users a solution like a shortcut that can solve that problem easily. And where is the shortcut? These 2 buttons, right? Normally they will have to go out of this app to go and submit it, make a submission and whatever, right? But again, I've already offered shortcut to them. So you can see that knowing these things are very, very important for you to be an amazing designer, because these are things that you tend to rely on while you are designing. And then let's look at the final one, which is help and documentation. No matter how familiar your app is, if it's something that just come out for the first time, there were always people that are going to need help with using it. Even pro users will need help with using your platform, right? So what is it saying here is that help and documentation is best if the system doesn't need any additional explanation. But in some cases, however, it may be necessary for you to provide documentation to help users understand how to complete their tasks. For example, now, people, when wanted to launch this particular app here, right? As simple as it is, we still needed to like come up with documentation for them to be able to use the platform. Why? Because they've never used anything too technical before. The users have not used anything technical. They've mostly just done basic WhatsApp, chat, phone calls, and stuff like that. Okay. And they'll need help onboarding on the platform. So, but one or two tries our conversation with them, we began to see that they did not need our help again. Right. So these are the things that is important, that you try to make your platform as easy as possible and provide help where needed, so that users are able to what? Complete their tasks easily. And one of the ways in which you can carry out usability tests is see how you can make a list of how they carry their tasks, right? And then when you try to guide them and see whether they make the mistake the second time, if they don't make the mistake the second time, right, and they keep doing it over and over again, it means that your help and documentation is working. But if they need your help 2, 3, 4 times, it's either you need to update your platform or you need to what? Fix your documentation. Okay. So one of those two things, right? So now, what is the tip here that I said? It said, number one, make sure that it is, make sure you ensure that help documentation is very, very easy to search. Whenever possible, present the documentation in context right at the moment that the user requires. For example, this case here now, this error case too, is in the context where the user needs it. So you don't go and show help documentation all over the place, right? They will have, this app I'm working on here, I'll have loved to show you, but I cannot. So, because it's still currently going. If as me it was live now, I will have showed you. So, and then the next one is what? You want to list this number of steps that they need to carry out in order for them to win. Okay. So, I'm going to send you a link to this the note I took for you in the chat section now. That's on Zoom. Okay, you can go on Google to go and find it, right? So you can also catch up on this, right? So to call it a close, this is the assignment. Nike, please note it down. This is the assignment, and the assignment says that create an experience. So you can pick a mobile app, you can pick a desktop website. Okay, it could be one and can use that one to explain everything, or you create multiple design design examples, right? Specifying all of the 10 that we've given. See you same time next time when we set another class. Thank you for now, and God be with you all. Cheers. So before I go, do you have any questions? Any questions at all? No questions. So God be with you all.